Acting like building leaders all around the world. Let us keep our dreams alive. Cause tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
Welcome back, everyone, to Kectil World Youth Network. We bring news, life stories, and experiences of youth from all around the world, shared to us from the ground. Real, authentic, fearless, and powerful. Today's podcast is very special. The very first time we feature the life and experience of youth in Iraq. Iraq is a country with rich heritage and culture, some of the kindest people, but not without its own tryst with war and instabilities. As Iraq gears up for a brighter future, we have a Kectil youth from Iraq, Tiba, joining us today to share her insights and opinions with us. Hello, Tiba. Welcome to Kectil World Youth Network podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today and shedding light on the realities of a youth living in Iraq, something that is not talked about enough.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Tiba, in today's podcast, I want to discuss the current realities, opportunities, and challenges faced by an Iraqi youth in the current days. So, as we begin our conversation today, I want to ask you, how was life growing up from a child into an adult in Iraq?
Life growing up in my country, Iraq, from a child into an adult is a difficult journey. Many challenges, sadness, and moments of depression, and even suicidal thoughts. I can describe it as a unique experience. The struggles for a brighter future often weigh heavily on Iraqi young shoulders, making the transition from childhood to adulthood a complex and a painful experience. Most people in Iraq have not lived their childhood, teenage years, and even adult years normally. As a child version of me, I was born in a very difficult time, at a time when my parents didn't have money to buy enough food and clothes like most Iraqi people. In my childhood, in 2003, the war had started in Iraq. I was just a 3-year-old little girl. I wasn't able to go outside home and engage with other kids and play like any child because it wasn't safe outside home. My parents were moving from one place to another inside Iraq just to keep me safe. I spent my childhood at home as a lonely child, but I am grateful that my mom was with me. She played with me when I was a little kid. She educated me from childhood. I still can remember when she bought the alphabet letters, Arabic alphabet letters poster, and started to educate me. She wasn't only my mom, she was my friend and my first teacher. She tried her best to not make me feel lonely or afraid during that difficult time. After 2003, some people left the country because of the war. At that time, my parents were not have money to get a passport and leave the country like other people did. Later, in 2006, I started going to school. I was 6 or 7 years old. My life was just from school to home and from home to school. There weren't any other extracurricular activities. Some of Iraqi parents decided not to send their kids to school because it was unsafe. My parents decided to send me to school because they believed that education comes first. In that time, in 2006, there was a civil war between Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims, so going outside home was so dangerous. In my teenage years in high school, ISIS came and controlled a lot of areas in Iraq. So the mental health and the situation of Iraqi youth were terrible. Later, I went to college and the situation was also unstable. In that time, there was a revolution known as the Shriek Revolution. It translated into October Revolution. It was led by Iraqi youth against the government, asking for a better life rights, and job opportunities. Currently, in adulthood, the situation is still unstable and Iraqi youth are still facing challenges and the opportunities are still limited.
Thanks for sharing that, Diva. It is, we have read it in news, but to hear the realities from you, it's actually giving me a lot of goosebumps, to be honest. And the note about Tishreen Revolution, October Revolution, we are seeing something very similar happening in Bangladesh right now. The youth have taken the charge, the youth have taken the power, and we are yet to see what comes of it, but it is quite powerful. And can you tell me more about the college and higher studies opportunities in Iraq?
Well, schools in Iraq starts with elementary schools. Children from 6 years old start going to school. There is also in Iraq a kindergarten. Children under age of 6 years old can go to kindergarten. The duration of study in an Iraqi elementary school is 6 years. Later, there is middle school, lasts for 3 years. In elementary and middle schools, different subjects are being taught, scientific and humanities subjects. Later comes the high school, lasts for 3 years. In high school, there are various options for study. There are high schools for scientific studies, high schools for literary or humanities studies, high schools for trading studies, industrial studies, and fine arts high schools, and also Islamic high schools. There are also schools for elite, and they include the middle and high schools only. The study in kindergarten and elementary schools can be mixed boys and girls, and sometimes not, depending on the school. But in middle and high school, boys and girls are not allowed to study together at same school. Schools for girls and schools for boys. So only so few schools it's allowed to study together, boys and girls, like talented schools. Later in college, the study is mixed with both males and females. Later, the high school, Iraqi students can join colleges according to the study option they have chosen when they were in high school. For example, students who graduated from scientific studies can study medicine or engineering at college, and students who studies humanities in high school can study law, business, and languages. Fine arts students join to fine arts colleges, Islamic high school students join to Islamic studies colleges, and so on. The study in college for a baccalaureate degree is 4 years, later master degree for 2 years, and later PhD degree for 2 years. Most popular and preferred courses that many Iraqi students prefer to study is medicine and engineering, especially oil engineering, because in those two fields of study, graduates will have a bigger chance to find a job in the public sector. Working in a public sector in Iraq is better than a private sector because salary is higher and job is permanent, and there will be a salary after retirement. The most preferred city for study is Baghdad, and the most popular universities in Iraq are Baghdad University and Mustansiriya University. They are ancient and historical universities in the country. Later, there are many other good universities in Iraq, like the Technology University of Iraq, and the Iraqi University, and Al-Sharath University, and many others. Some universities have admission exam and some don't have. For baccalaureate studies in most Iraqi universities, there is no admission exam, but the study of most courses is in English. So the students should improve their language from high school by taking language courses and so on. For master's and PhD studies, there is admission exam for all courses. The admission exam includes computer skills exam, Arabic language exam for courses taught in Arabic, and English language exam for courses taught in English. Schools in Iraq are public and private. In private schools, students can get a better education, modern facilities, and a better school atmosphere. The study in Iraq in public schools is free for all Iraqi students from kindergarten to universities. Students who get a low grade can pay an affordable amount to join public universities, and those who get a high grade or the acceptable grade to join a study course can study for free. But for master and PhD studies, it's not free, but it's affordable.
Thank you so much, Shiva. That is a very detailed take on the education. I think even if we Google, even if we actually, just out of curiosity, if we go and read on internet, I don't think we're going to get such a well-structured look on the education system in Iraq. Thank you so much for putting it together. And how was life as a young person living in Iraq? Also, how was life as a young woman in Iraq?
Okay. As a young person living in Iraq, life is hard. And as a young woman living in Iraq, life is harder. The life of both Iraqi young males and females are complex. The freedoms of both males and females are almost non-existent. But in general, Iraqi males have more freedom than Iraqi females. Iraqi males have more jobs opportunities than Iraqi females. They can work in any job position and in any place across the country. Iraqi females cannot work like Iraqi males because it's unsafe for them and because of the social norms. Some males work in cities that are far away from their place of living, but females cannot because of the security situation in the country. This situation has made the job positions limited for Iraqi females, and employers prefer to hire males rather than females. Social norms have also made it hard for Iraqi females to work in certain jobs or even to start their own business. For example, Iraqi people criticize and say bad things about women who work in certain jobs. For example, women who work in nursing and salon or spa. This situation has caused mental health issues for women who work in these jobs. Iraqi males in general have more freedoms than Iraqi females due to social norms. Males in Iraq can drive a bike and a motorbike, but females cannot because of the social norms. It is just a human right and something so simple to enjoy the life. But suddenly, Iraqi women cannot do that, and if they dare to do that, they will be hurt by the people, physically and mentally. Iraqi males can also do volunteering work, like cleaning the two famous rivers in Iraq and other volunteering work on the ground. But Iraqi females cannot do that because it's unsafe for them to go here and there across the country. Only women who wear hijab, the hair cover, can participate sometimes. It is not that dangerous for them since they are acceptable by the society. But participating in such works on the Iraqi ground and you are an Iraqi atheist woman can be so dangerous and a risk. Also, in recent years, there was a transportation way by motorbike as a fast way for transportation. It allowed two women to sit behind male drivers, but it was allowed only for women who wear hijab. It's another case of racism we have experienced in Iraq.
Thanks for sharing that, Eva. That is actually it's just brave of you to actually come out and tell us the real realities of living in the country. And there will be a lot of people who may have thought on the other extremes. So to put the facts right and to give us the real insights of living, that's something that's brave as well as commendable from your part. And we have read about this. We have actually, some of us who have been interested to know about world politics or what's happening around the world, there will be one or the other news articles or something that comes up from Iraq. Like recently, even I saw a news article about women fighting for their rights and how they express it and how it is interpreted. It's quite interesting. And when we talk about women not being able to volunteer or travel around freely, I want to know something more. Like, what are some of the common social activities and hobbies among Iraqi youth, and how do they spend their day and free time?
The common social activities and hobbies among Iraqi youth, it is different from one Iraqi individual to another. The most common social activities at the present time are meeting in a cafe with their friends and other youth and playing some boarding games, but it's more common for males than females. There are females in this social activity, but they are less than the number of males. Or another social activity like visiting events like Baghdad International Book Fair and similar events regarding reading books. Iraqi youth also enjoy their time visiting bazaars, especially the ones in Spring Festival. It is a well-known festival here in Iraq, and some small businesses can come and show their services there. It's a nice event that a lot of Iraqi youth like to visit. The hobbies of Iraqi youth are different. Some can play guitar, some can play piano and other musical instruments, but they are very few because in Iraqi schools there is no music lesson. And people who can play guitar or other musical instruments are either self-taught or went to special music schools, and these schools are expensive and not everyone can afford them. Some Iraqi youth can painting pictures or painting on the walls. Other youth like readings and writing stories and novels. Iraq has talents. Iraqi youth are talented in general. Some youth are introverts and like to spend their time at home watching movies and series. Each Iraqi person has their own hobby and habits of enjoying their time.
Thanks for sharing that, Tiba. And, it's quite interesting to know that there are no music lessons in Iraq. I mean, that's something I would never have thought about to even ask you, but thanks for bringing that up. It's a very nuanced, understanding of a country and its culture. And, it would probably not pop in to anybody's mind to even search and figure out, okay, is there new music lessons in this country? I mean, the perspective is very good that you brought up, Tiba. And for the listeners, just one word, bazaar, that Tiba has shared right now. Bazaar is usually stores or, the rows of shops in an area that we usually go for local shopping. Is that right, Tiba?
Yes, and
Yes.
there is another term of bazaar. Small businesses come and make an event in a park here in Iraq and sending invitation to youth, and youth can come and meet and see the small businesses and their services.
Yes. So we have similar, bazaar is a word that is very common in Middle East and Asian countries. So anybody who's outside this region, they probably would need that explanation. And what Tiba just told right now, that's exactly how it happens even in Asian countries, Southeast Asia. I've seen that in India. I've seen that in Thailand. I've seen that in many Middle Eastern places. So it's very typical of, our culture in this belt, I guess. So moving on to my next question. What role does technology and social media play in the lives of an Iraqi youth?
Technology and social media are a positive things not only in the lives of Iraqi youth but also in the lives of all Iraqis of different ages. Iraqi people enjoy using social media. Young people and old people all enjoy using it. It's a way for youth to look for opportunities like employment, scholarships, and communicating with like-minded individuals. Some Iraqis use social media as a way for a living, gaining money from ads and similar stuff. Some use it to promote their businesses and make them reach to a wider customers across Iraq. Social media has also become an opportunity for Iraqi youth to meet and make friendships and relationships. Technology and social media has made the life easier for Iraqi people. A lot of Iraqi students, especially those with low income, study their school subjects on YouTube videos created by Iraqi teachers and shared online to help students with their school. Many of those students got high grades from those free online lessons. Technology and social media plays very important role in the lives of Iraqis. Its positive aspects are more than its negative aspects. Some people also do online courses, so Iraqis youth who cannot go for in-person course can register for an online course. Technology has made the life of Iraqis youth better and more enjoyable and knowledgeable. But the sad thing about social media in Iraq is that the freedoms are restricted by both the government and the majority of people. We cannot be who truly we are, whether on social media or on the ground. If you share a photo that considers not acceptable in the Iraqi society, you will go to jail or even killed. And when you look at it, it's just a normal picture, but for sick people, it's forbidden. Not only this, if you share your own thoughts that doesn't match with the society thoughts, it will be a big problem. I hope this will change in the future, and I really hope there will be no restrictions regarding the personal freedoms of individuals in Iraq.
That's profound, Tiba. Let's hope there is change in the future. And now, as a young person, I want your perspective on this. Young people dream a lot about many things while building their life, right? Be it education, be it jobs, but most are afraid that the challenges in front of them will stop them from fulfilling their dreams. It is quite true in a lot of developing countries. You cannot just simply say that dream and you will achieve it. There are 10,000 hurdles before you actually achieve something. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, especially for people in developing countries. Now, coming from Iraq, what are some challenges that an Iraqi youth would be afraid of when they hope to dream and achieve their, whatever they want to achieve in their lives?
Well, Iraqi youth have simple dreams, and their biggest challenge that they are afraid of is the security situation and the instability in the country. Unemployment and poverty are also some of the challenges that Iraqi youth are afraid of. Iraqi youth's simple dreams are study, work, and build a family. But the instability, conflicts, and unemployment situation in Iraq are preventing them from achieving their dreams. Another challenge that Iraqi youth are afraid of is the society. The Islamic society. In Iraq, we cannot be who truly we are. And it's so painful and has caused a lot of mental health issues. Iraqi atheists and Iraqis who belong to LGBT community. Our biggest challenge is the Iraqi Islamic society. We cannot wear the clothes and do the style or look that represent our real characters because of the fear of being killed, and our crime is only being different and not following the majority rules of society.
This fear, but at the same, there is fear, but at the same time, you also know that there is this strong intention for putting out your own character and your own the self. You want to project the self, but there is fear as well, right? That's not something that like almost 80% of the youth around the world, they probably may not have gone through it, but there is this huge segment, 20% of the youth, including people in Iraq and in a lot of other countries, who have this problem of not being able to express themselves. Even when we say 80% of the youth may not have this problem, a lot of communities like LGBTQ or any other communities, there are people who are going through that, and sometimes it's not just a society; it might even start at home. So what you are experiencing in Iraq is at a huge scale, but I think a lot of people are probably experiencing the same fear in a smaller scale. So I think it's relatable. I mean, in a very, very twisted and very different way, but we understand where you're coming from, Tiba. And you also mentioned about unemployment, and I want to delve deeper into that. And interestingly, around 2 generations back, Iraq was also one of the Middle Eastern countries that were top destinations for Indian people to seek out foreign jobs. So we have this culture of trend. I wouldn't say culture, but a lot of people, the past 2 generations used to flock to Middle Eastern countries for jobs. Now it has become UK and the US more than Middle East, but Middle East is still one of the most sought after areas for a foreign job for an Indian youth. Not just India, but a lot of Southeast Asian and southern countries. And Iraq used to be one of the destinations. But now you're telling me about unemployment, that the youth of Iraq themselves are not finding jobs. Can you describe the impact of unemployment on the lives of Iraqi youth?
Well, unemployment has a profound impact on the lives of Iraqi youth, affecting various aspects of their social, economic, and psychological well-being. High unemployment rates among youth in Iraq, it has a profound impact on the lives of Iraqi youth. Exacerbate economic instability for individuals and families. Many young people are unable to secure jobs that provide a stable income, leading to financial difficulties, increased poverty, and reliance on family support or informal work. With limited job opportunities, some Iraqi youth feel that their education is not translating into something viable career paths. This disillusionment can lead to lack of motivation to pursue higher education or vocational training, perpetuating a cycle of unemployment and underemployment. High youth unemployment has contributed to social unrest and political instability. Young people may become frustrated with their situation, leading to protest demonstrations or involvement in extremist groups as they seek a sense of purpose or agency in a challenging environment. Unemployment has led to feelings of despair, anxiety, depression, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts among youth. The stress of not being able to find work, coupled with societal pressures and expectations, can adversely affect mental health and overall well-being. With limited opportunities at home, many educated and skilled young individuals seek to immigrate in order to search for better prospects. This brain drain can hinder Iraq's development, as the country loses its potential leaders, professionals, and innovators. Unemployment can alter family dynamics, as young people may struggle to contribute financially to their household. This can lead to increased tension within families and alter traditional rules, making it difficult for young individuals to achieve independence. In the absence of formal employment opportunities, many youth may turn into informal economy, which often lacks job security, benefits, and fair wages. This can lead to exploitative working conditions and further entrenchment in poverty. The impact of employment on Iraqi youth is multifaceted, influencing their economic prospects, mental health, social stability, and overall quality of life. The main reason of unemployment in Iraq is the corruption, bad governance, and bad leaders.
Thanks for sharing that, Diva. And let me delve one step further into this problem of unemployment. What can you tell us about some of the barriers that prevent young Iraqis from finding work?
Young Iraqis face a variety of barriers that hinder their ability to find work. These challenges are multifaceted and stem from economic, social, and institutional factors. Some of the primary barriers are that Iraq has faced significant economic challenges, including fluctuations in oil prices, corruption, and insufficient investment in diverse sectors. This instability results in limited job creation, particularly in industries that could employ young people. The job market in Iraq is often characterized by a lack of valuable positions, especially in urban areas. Many sectors may not be growing or may be saturated, making it difficult for young job seekers to find suitable employment. In addition, employers frequently seek candidates with prior work experience, which puts fresh graduates and young job seekers at a disadvantage. This creates a paradox where youth cannot gain experience without first being employed. Corruption and nepotism can play a significant role in hiring practices, leading to a situation where jobs may go to individuals with connections rather than based on merit. This can discourage young people who lack such networks and connections. The ongoing security issues and instability in certain regions of Iraq can deter businesses from operating or expanding, limiting job opportunities. Additionally, young people may be reluctant to seek employment in areas deemed unsafe. There are significant disparities in job availability between urban and rural areas, and between different regions of Iraq. Youth living in rural or economically disadvantaged areas may have ever fewer opportunities. There is also another issue, which is the lack of access to capital. Many young Iraqis may have entrepreneurial aspirations, but lack access to financial resources or credit. This can prevent them from starting their own businesses or pursuing self-employment opportunities. In Iraq, there is also a lack of effective job placement services. career counseling and vocational training programs that can help young people navigate the job market and develop relevant skills. In some cases, cultural norms and expectations can also influence the types of jobs that are considered acceptable for young people, particularly women. This can limit their options and discourage them from pursuing certain careers. High levels of stress and anxiety related to unemployment and the economic uncertainty can negatively impact young people's confidence and motivation to seek work, further complicating their job search efforts. Also, our Prime Minister said it twice in his public speeches that there are not enough job positions for all Iraqi youth, and the public sector cannot provide job opportunities for all Iraqis. In my opinion, Iraq needs strategies that involve government policy changes, investment in education and training, economic diversification, and efforts to combat corruption and promote transparency in hiring practices.
So, Tiba, are the barriers similar for men and women? Like, are there any social limitations and restrictions that affect women's ability to work and find work in Iraq?
Yes, all the barriers are similar for men and women. Only the barrier of social norms, it applies to women only. It doesn't apply for men. Extended and immediate family and society criticize and devalue women who work in certain jobs. But Iraqi women are strong and they know how to overcome these challenges.
That's good to know, Tiba. Women are always strong. And no matter which part of the world they're from, women are strong. And
all countries are strong.
Yeah. And so now that we are on the topic of women, I want to ask you one more question. Are there some types of jobs that are considered off limits for women? And why so?
Yes, there are some types of jobs that are considered off limits for women, but not only in Iraq, it's also common in many other countries. In Iraq, there are certain jobs and industries that are considered off limits or less accessible for women due to culture and social norms, and also due to the safety concerns. For example, in Iraq, job positions in security forces and Iraqi army, while there are women in Iraqi army and police, certain positions, especially those involving high-risk situation or fighting, are considered off limits for women to enter due to societal perceptions about gender rules, and also due to the dangerous nature of the work. So women in such job position do administrative tasks only. Another example, in some job positions in certain industries like oil and gas, may be less accessible to women due to a combination of physical demands, safety concern, and the predominantly male workforce.
Thanks for sharing that, Tiba. And also, very, very good that you actually pointed out something, such restrictions and such categories of jobs that are considered off limit for women. That's not just in Iraq. I mean, just because we are in the topic of Iraq does not mean that this is only restricted to Iraq. It is prevalent in a lot of countries, developed as well as developing countries, when it comes to restrictions and what it is considered as a good job for women and not a good job for women. I don't think these decisions are taken by women, but it is taken for them. And irrespective of whichever country or culture that we come from, we have all seen that. And we as women, we all experience that, right? But thanks for giving us such a very detailed insight into. Now you were talking about the jobs and job positions and job roles. Earlier in our conversation, you also mentioned about the volunteering part. So I guess listeners are getting a very 360-degree wholesome view of even not just a paying job, not just a position that you are applying and getting like also even volunteering experiences and how it is to be a woman who is hoping to achieve a lot of things in her life. Thanks a lot for shedding light into that, Tiba. So, in your opinion, does the quality of education in Iraq also affect the future prospects of young people?
Yes, and the strong education system is crucial for equipping young people with the skills and knowledge needed for the job market. Poor educational quality can lead to a mismatch between the skills graduate possesses and the demands of employers, limiting job opportunities. In Iraqi universities, our professors equip us with the skills and knowledge needed for work. But after finished college, graduates should take an internship in the field of work that they apply for. This internship is often offered by the Iraqi employer. In my opinion, the quality of education in Iraq is good when it comes to subjects that are taught in schools and universities. The only one subject that must be cancelled from schools is the Islamic education subject. This subject has been taught from elementary to high schools, almost for 12 years. Honestly, it causes mental health issues for students and damage their minds. It should be replaced with another lesson that teaches students how to be humanitarian and good people. Another point is that the school subjects are very good and modern, but the issue is in the way of teaching them. Most schools make students just memorize what is written in books, copy and paste. Remember what is written in the book and paste it on the paper exam in order to get a high mark and pass the exam. There is no creativity, just copy and paste. It's too much pressure on students' minds, especially in middle and high schools. Another point is that many schools are in poor condition, especially public schools, lacking basic facilities and resources. This can affect the learning environment and overall educational experience. In addition, access to education can vary significantly, particularly between urban and rural areas. Many children, especially girls, still face barriers to attending school, especially in rural areas. The ongoing political instability and the economic challenges have impacted the funding for education and the ability to implement necessary reforms for schools in Iraq.
So, how do Iraqi youth find entry-level jobs in the country? And are there like online job portals, or do you go directly to a company and apply for an open position?
The popular way to find a job is online via Iraqi Telegram channels that share job advertisements. Then Iraqi youth see the job that match with their skills and apply for it through sending their CVs or resume to the employer by email or mobile phone. If they get accepted, they will be invited to an interview and so on. There are also Facebook groups where employers share advertisements about jobs opportunities so Iraqi youth can see it and apply. Iraqi youth can also look for jobs online through LinkedIn and Bait.com. Sometimes small companies and stores put job advertisement on the front wall or on the door of the workplace so youth can see them and apply in person. For jobs in public sector, It announces on social media and on website of the public institution. Then youth can apply for it online via an official link. In general, getting a job in Iraq depends on networking and connections with others.
Yeah, I guess that holds true for everyone around the world. Gone are the days where you just apply and wait. People usually say spray and pray, like you spray paint your resume, send it to everyone and just pray. But no, it doesn't work like that anymore. And it's like networking, people, connections, that matters a lot. But you mentioned about Telegram, and that's novel. I mean, that's something that I have really, maybe as a person, I have not explored communication channels like WhatsApp, Telegram for seeking out jobs. But I think I am hearing about it for the first time, and that's quite novel. And I'm not sure if that is prevalent in other countries, but it's quite interesting to know that Telegram is a channel for finding jobs in Iraq, and that's nice to know. So, what are the most popular fields of study or career paths for a youth in Iraq?
The most popular fields of study are medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, general medicine, and other medical fields. They are the favorite fields of study or career paths for many youth in Iraq. Then comes engineering with its various fields, and on top of it is oil engineering, computers engineering, and IT. Iraqi youth also prefer to study oil management and any other field that's related to work in oil industry. Finally comes fields like law, accounting, business, languages, and other social sciences and humanities fields.
And what opportunities exist for you to gain practical experience or internships in Iraq? I know you mentioned about the volunteering part, but I want you to let the audience know a little bit more deeper into this area of practical experience and internship.
There are training courses offered by private training institutions. These courses are about various fields that are required in job markets in Iraq, such as computer skills courses, languages courses, business and marketing courses. There are training courses for every field, but these courses are not for free since they are offered by private institutions, and the cost of each course starts from $300 to $1,000 American dollars. Some Iraqi youth join these courses, but not everybody. Not everyone can afford it, especially during this unemployment situation in the country. There are also internship opportunities that are offered by international organizations under a partnership with the Iraqi Higher Education. These internship opportunities has provided a great and modern way of internship for Iraqi youth, and they are for free. So it's an opportunity for young people who cannot afford the courses in a private institution. These internships that are offered by international organizations are great and for free, and we as Iraqi youth, we really appreciate it. There are also initiatives from the Iraqi government to support young people like Riyada program. It's a program that offers internship for young people who want to start a business. It offers a training and guide for individuals who want to start their own business.
That's interesting. But again, it's not probably open for all the Iraqi youth, right? Only a handful of people get into programs like Riyada program, right?
Yes, of course, only for a limited number.
So how do traditions and security concerns limit volunteering opportunities for women? I'm dialing back into the volunteering part. I know you've already explained a little bit, given us an example also. But now that we are in the topic of practical experience and doing something of your own, I want to delve deeper into this part about, security concerns that limit volunteering opportunities for women in Iraq.
Iraqi girls and women often cannot participate in volunteering work on the ground due to safety concerns and traditions. This situation has made the scholarships opportunities abroad for females limited, since most scholarships ask for volunteering experience. Most youth who get the scholarships to study abroad are males. In my opinion, it's unfair because Iraqi females also deserve opportunities like males. Iraqi girls and women are also hardworking and talented and want to serve our community like males. But because the safety concerns and the traditions, our opportunities are limited.
Over the last few years, how has changes in laws and norms transformed women's rights and freedom in Iraq? And when you look back, how has this evolved?
There is no women's rights and freedoms in Iraq, whether in the past few years or now. Since the Iraqi constitution is based on the Islamic laws, and in Islam there is no women's rights and freedoms. In general, there are no human rights under Islamic laws. It's a religion that's designed for men only. It was written by men and for men. When it comes to women's rights and freedoms in Iraqi laws, it's almost not existent. For example, according to the Iraqi laws, the father can take his minor children and travel with them abroad without a permission from the mother, while the mother cannot take her minor children and travel with them abroad without a written and authorized permission from the father. And when it comes to divorce laws, it's more complicated for a woman to get her freedom from the husband. In case if the woman, she is the one who wants a divorce and the husband doesn't want to set her free, she will lose all her financial rights from the husband after the divorce. In other cases, the husband can ask her legally to come back to him, even if she doesn't want him, under something in Iraqi laws called Beit al-Ta'a. It translated into house of obedience. A woman must return to her husband according to this law. In other cases, the judge has the right to make a decision on a woman who wants a divorce not to legally marry any other man for 9 years. So, the only way to get divorced is that she doesn't ask for any financial rights from the husband. Also, in Iraqi laws, the man can get married legally from another woman without taking an agreement from his first wife. Another challenge that women and young girls face because of the Iraqi laws is that if a young girl or a woman and even a group of young girls want to travel alone, 100 questions will be asked in the airport by Iraqi officers. And they can ask for her father's permission. And if there isn't a father, they will ask for a permission from her uncles or other family members. And when it comes to the personal freedoms regarding clothes, behaviors, and beliefs, it's another topic. But this includes both males and females when it comes to the personal freedoms. In general, there are no human rights in Iraq.
It's such a profound thing to know that, Tiba. I mean, we can only guess and we can only empathize with you, but to live in that, to experience it every day, that is unimaginable. And I also came across a news, I think 3 days back, about a new law, a bill that probably, hopefully, does not get passed, but has moved to the higher houses, about reducing the marriage age to 9 years. It's stated in the bill that it is to protect a girl's virtue, but this will also complicate the lives of girls by pushing them into an unwanted marital life, as well as not, like putting them out of schools, not getting educated, not getting a prospect of having a peaceful or a prosperous life that they have built for themselves. It will also lead to unwanted medical, complications. And Women of Iraq has actually started to voice out. It has already been a issue where women have voiced out against this bill. So it never got passed in the upper houses earlier, but it has resurfaced again. And that is something, it's quite related to what you just told us, but it's trending in the international news right now. That's what's coming out from Iraq right now. So despite these changes, in your opinion, what are some things that needs to change in order to create a more free and challenge-free environment for women to grow and truly become themselves in Iraq?
In my opinion, the first change must be the laws, the Iraqi laws. Removing all Islamic laws, religion must be separated from governance, and the constitution must be transformed from its Islamic laws to secular laws. In this way, we will not only create a more free and fair environment for women, but also for everybody, for children, for girls, for women, and even for men. In this way, we will create a safe and fair environment for all Iraqis, and people can be who truly they are without fear. In this way, women, girls, atheists, and people who belong to LGBT community will be protected by law. In my opinion, if we do this, we will create human rights in Iraq, and the country will live in peace. Another point is that we will need to educate people as much as we could. Some people in Iraq should understand that they are not living alone in this country. They should understand there are different people living with them, people who do not believe in what they believe. So, they should respect them and don't hurt them physically and mentally. In addition, we will also need to educate and raise awareness among people about their basic and civil rights. Iraqi people should understand that their personal rights must be guaranteed and protected by the constitution. Also, the government must be strong and provide a safe environment for women and girls. It should put big punishments for those who hurt females. Women and young girls cannot walk in the streets of Iraq safely. There is a famous quotation by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. I very like it, in which he said, "If a woman walks alone at any time of the day or night without fear, then know that she is in the United Arab Emirates." I wish that Iraq will be safe one day, like the United Arab Emirates. And I wish that one day Baghdad will be like Dubai.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bomb statement. Tiba. For me, Baghdad is usually from all the books that we have read, Hercule Poirot and Tintin. They have featured Baghdad as the city where a lot of things happen. They run through the city. There are so many shops and people selling magical stuff, and there is so much enigma and magic in this. Even the word Baghdad. So I think I've not visited Iraq. I definitely do not know anybody or anyone who has experienced Iraq other than Utiba. But, Baghdad as a city, because I've read it in a lot of, fictional setting, it is a magical word for me. So Maybe I don't have the history or the reasons to wish the same with you, but with my own reasons, I also wish such a future for Baghdad one day. So let us talk about mental health and how it affects youth in Iraq. What are the mental health challenges faced by Iraqi youth, and what support is available?
The most common mental health issues among youth in Iraq are anxiety, depression, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts. Some Iraqi youth have committed suicide because of mental health issues. And the main reason for mental health issues among Iraqi youth are the situation of the country, the unemployment, and the conflict. Most of youth in Iraq are hopeless, and we see that we don't have a future. All support that is available for young people who suffer from mental health issues is visiting a psychologist. And most of young people cannot afford it due to the unemployment situation in the country. The most great support that Iraqi youth have is the family support.
Okay. And how do restrictions on personal identity and expression affect young people in Iraq? Are they able to be their authentic selves in public? Because this is something that, through some of our discussions in this podcast, it is quite evident the restrictions and how it is stopping people from being their own authentic self. So can you delve a little bit deeper into this and tell us a little bit more about your perspectives on this topic?
Of course, in Iraq, we cannot be our own authentic self in public. It's risk, and we will put ourselves in danger. Neither the government nor the majority of people will let us be who truly we are in public. Iraqi laws don't protect personal identity and expression. In Iraq, we cannot wear the clothes that represent our character and who we are. We cannot go in public and say we are atheist and we don't believe in your religion. And we cannot say we belong to LGBT community. If we do that, we will be killed by religious people. Iraqi youth can be who truly they are and talk about their personal identity and expression only with the other youth who are similar in the Iraqi society, and only with the people who have an open mind and can understand us.
And for me, it is something that this not being able to express yourself freely. I've read it not just from Iraq, but from a lot of countries, from all the news and the news analysis that I have read, young people voicing out their opinions, and quite brave of everyone to actually talk about it. But when we live in this 21st century, we think change has already come, but no, that's not the case, right? I mean, it's not just with Iraq, and you are talking to us about the harsh realities of Iraq. But if you actually ask each and every youth from around the world, they are facing their own identity crisis in one way or the other. But situations are much, much worse in Iraq, and I understand that fully. But I think there is an element of this that every young person is somewhere around the world, they are going through the same. So you're talking about the fear, right? I mean, it's raw fear. It's fear of being killed. And, it cannot get worse than that. But how does this fear of being authentically themselves, this fear of actually expressing their own authentic self, impact daily life of an Iraqi youth?
Causes many mental health issues and make us feel that we are not a part of this country. It makes us feel we are strangers and this world doesn't make for us. Being an atheist in Iraq also makes it hard to find a job, because when you apply for a job, the employer will try to know if you believe in what he believes or not. This can happen in a direct way or an indirect way. A lot of people were killed in Iraq because they show themselves authentically in public. Being authentic person in Iraq impacts job opportunities, social communication, and even family communication. Some relatives and even close family members don't let the person be who she or he truly is. Some Iraqi families don't accept that you are different and you don't follow their rules. This makes the authentic people feel that they are lonely and have no support. No support from government, no support from society, no support from family. All that causes a lot of pain for authentic people.
And this pain that you're talking about from being authentic, it's experienced by every youth in Iraq in one way or the other, right? And in other countries where things are a little bit more different, liberal or call it whatever, this sort of pain is shared by a specific community, that is the LGBTQ. And I've mentioned that in during one of the questions that I asked you earlier also. There is this crisis where they cannot become themselves or express themselves freely without fear. And it's just fear of stigma in a lot of countries, not probably even fear of death. When there are places where people are afraid of death as well when it comes to stories of LGBTQ. But I want to step into that area. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the laws or norms that pose risk to LGBTQ individuals and atheists in Iraq?
As an Iraqi atheist woman, I can say that atheist individuals in Iraq are not a few. We are not a few. We are more than 1%. We are a community here in Iraq. We just cannot say who truly we are in public. In Iraqi laws, we cannot change the religion which we inherited from our parents. We are the Iraqi atheists. We want our religion to be written on documents that not religious or atheist instead of making us Muslims by force. Neither Iraqi laws nor social norms let individuals from Islamic origin to change their religion legally. There are Iraqi individuals who went to the court to leave Islam and change their religion, and the result was that they were physically beaten by employees working there. And for Iraqi individuals who belong to LGBT community, according to Iraqi laws, anyone who belongs to the LGBT community is sentenced to execution.
So, you mentioned about the Islamic laws and how it should be changed, right? I think, Tiba, a lot of people, especially in Iraq, as you said, it's not just a very small community, it is a huge community that really believes that religion should be, should stay away from rules and rules of the country, right? Especially when I was reading the news analysis about the news article that I just mentioned a few minutes back about reducing the marriage age to 9 for girls. A lot of voices from Iraq are also talking about the same thing, where religion should not be mixed with the constitution. Religion and religious laws should be followed by people who want to follow the religious laws, but it should not be the law of the country. And I think what you said is right. It's not just you. It's not just a few like you. There is a growing voice in Iraq who wants to have rules and rules of the land to be rules that are scientifically or created looking at the topography of the country, of the people and their interest, and not based on religion. So yeah, I mean, I understand where this comes from, Tiba. So let me step into something else entirely different. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I've always wanted to know, how do youth navigate entrepreneurship in different countries? So now that you're from Iraq, what are the challenges and opportunities of a young entrepreneur in Iraq?
One of the main challenges for young entrepreneurs in Iraq is the capital to start a business or the funding. It's hard to get a capital, especially there is an unemployment situation in the country, and funding opportunities are limited, whether it's local or international. As you know, who will risk and fund a project in unstable country? There are also opportunities, but these opportunities very limited and only for a limited number of people. There is an initiative, I talked about it before, from the government called Riyada to fund small businesses. There are also international programs that should provide guide and support for entrepreneurs, but the number of these initiatives and seats that are funded are very limited. Another challenge for Iraqi entrepreneurs is the place of the business. In order to get a lot of customers, the business should be in a popular place where a lot of people can come to your business. In such places, the cost of rent a place is high, and a lot of young entrepreneurs cannot afford it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Tiba. I'm someone, I mean, like, if listeners who usually listen to podcasts hosted by me, I ask everybody who comes to the podcast about life of entrepreneurs in their country. So thanks for sharing that. This is probably an insight for the listeners and more for me personally. Thanks a lot. So how does Iraq's over-dependence on oil impact the economy, future of Iraq? This question comes from a fact that, as I said, 2 generations back, Indians used to opt for going to, I mean, like, they still go to a lot of Middle Eastern countries for jobs, seeking jobs. And Iraq used to be one of the spots where jobs in oil and oil rigs used to be a very popular choice. And people used to go there. And I understand that for Iraq, the economy is still dependent on oil. And, you know, a lot of your choices when it comes to a youth and people staying in Iraq, it all depends and revolves around the oil market, right? So how does Iraq's over-dependence on oil impact the economic future of Iraq? And when it comes to job market for youth, especially, what are the potential risks involved? What do you see?
Iraq's over-independence on oil significantly impact its economic future by making the country vulnerable to to changes in global oil prices. As oil revenues account for a substantial portion of the national budget, any decline in prices can lead to budget deficits, reduced public services, and stunted economic growth. This depending on oil only hampers diversification efforts, limiting the development of other sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. Consequently, the economy remains susceptible to external shocks, making long-term stability and growth challenging. For the youth in Iraq, the over-reliance on the oil sector presents severe risks in the job market. Some youth studied oil industry because in the past few years, job opportunities in oil sector was higher compared to other sectors. But currently, job opportunities in the oil sectors are also limited. In general, seats in all sectors are limited, except in medicine. And old people doesn't want to retire and let the young people work instead of them. This situation has fostered discontent and social unrest, as young people feel sidelined in an economy that doesn't provide them with viable career paths.
Okay. And it's really interesting that, the oil, it's not just about the booming business or the business that brings most money into the country, but it is also about how can this be looked at as a sustainable path, right? So what you mentioned right now is what an economist would look at as a sustainability measure for the country. So really amazing that you could bring in your perspectives and articulate it so clearly. So you mentioned in the beginning of our podcast that during war, years back when you were a child, people were fleeing the country due to fear for their own safety. Later, when you became a youth, people have left the country because they want to seek out better jobs and better livelihood in other countries. So that is a problem, right? Brain drain is a problem. And when we look at it, what I want your opinion on this. Why are many young Iraqis choosing to leave the country? And what do they actually seek out abroad?
There are many young Iraqis, not even young, even old people, and their kids started to leave the country. They are choosing to leave the country because there are no human rights in Iraq. Every Iraqi person has their own reasons for leaving, but the shared reason is that there are no human rights in Iraq. Another shared reasons are the safety issue. Iraq isn't a safe country for living. Many young Iraqis are choosing to leave the country to save their lives and to seek for a better future, because in Iraq there is no future. Some people have children and parents don't want their children to live in danger and without a future or normal life. Some Iraqi families have daughters only, and parents do not want their daughters to live in danger, especially in Iraq. Rights and freedoms of women and girls are almost not existent. Many young Iraqis are choosing to leave the country, seeking for safety and seeking for better life, seeking for better future and for a new home.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned about all the people who have left the country, there is a huge what we call as diaspora, right? A lot of people who are outside Iraqis outside Iraq, looking inside Iraq, into Iraq and seeing what is happening back at home, getting updates from news, getting updates from their relatives back at home. And there is this huge set of people who probably have become economically empowered as well as in safe places right now. So what role can such young Iraqis who are currently abroad play? What is the role that they can play in order to support their peers back at home?
Young Iraqis abroad, especially those who live in countries where freedom of expression is available, they can convey the voices of Iraqis living inside Iraq to the world and tell the world and the press about the fear, persecution, suppression of freedoms, and the killing of social activists and journalists in Iraq. And they can tell the world and the press about the absence of human rights that Iraqis inside Iraq suffer from. Also, young Iraqis abroad, they can support their peers inside Iraq by teaching them the foreign languages they have learned and educating them even if through online courses.
Okay. And when it comes to the programs that you mentioned right now, what initiatives or programs could help improve education and skill development for Iraqi youth?
Improving education and skill development for Iraqi youth requires initiatives that focus on training teachers, especially elementary and high school teachers, and initiatives that focus on training undergraduates and graduates to equip them with the skills that are required in the job market. Professional development programs for teachers can enhance the quality of education and equip them with modern pedagogical techniques, fostering a more engaging and effective learning environment. Also, internships with local and international businesses and industries can help develop curricula that reflect current job market needs, ensuring that graduates possess the practical skills that is required by Iraqi employers.
Okay. And when we are on the topic of youth outside Iraq, also, what would you want youth outside Iraq, youth from various other countries, to help and empower youth in your country? Talking about foreign youth. Anyone who is not an Iraqi but outside Iraq who wants to do something for youth in Iraq, what would you want them to do in order to help and empower youth in your country?
They can help Iraqis by empowering youth in Iraq, by providing opportunities for Iraqis, such as opportunities like cultural exchange programs, mentorship and networking programs, or skill development workshops. They also can support existing local initiatives in Iraq through fundraising, volunteering, or promoting them within their own networks. This helps amplify the efforts of Iraqi youth and fosters a sense of global solidarity.
And how do you perceive the job market in Iraq, and what changes would you like to see to improve it? So why I'm asking you is, like, we have discussed about the job market, we have discussed about a lot of things around this in the podcast earlier, but I am looking at perspectives from you about what can we do to change it, and what do you want to do to change it? As a youth, especially a Kektel youth from Iraq, we see a lot of potential in people who have, you've done the first step, coming out and speaking about it, thinking about it, sharing your perspectives, and you have so much perspectives. And people like you are the ones who can catalyze change in a country. So we are all very curious to know your perspectives on what can change in the country in order to make the job market better.
The job market in Iraq is challenging. It is characterized by high unemployment rates, particularly among youth, and an over-reliance in employment on the medicine sector. Only students who get a very high grade can study medicine in public universities, and those who get a lower grade can study medicine at private universities, which are very expensive. Studying medicine in Iraq means you will get a job in the public sector. At the same time, you can work with the private sector. Then the income will be great. So that's why a lot of Iraqi students decide to join medicine these days. The focus in employment opportunities is on the medicine sector. And in my opinion, to change this and improve job opportunities in Iraq, I would like to see a diversification of economy by investing in other sectors, not only in medicine or not only in oil, but also in other sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and technologies, and other different sectors. Another point is that many Iraqi employers prefer to hire foreigners workers like Syrians, Lebanese, and other Arabic and foreign nationalities, instead of hiring Iraqi workers, because they pay less for the foreign worker than Iraqi worker. This situation has also caused unemployment for young people in Iraq.
Okay. So let's keep aside jobs. I think we have talked a lot about jobs, training, and education, and keeping aside all that. And you have told us so far a lot of things pertaining to this. What do you think are necessary to create a better future and supportive environment for a young person in Iraq?
In my opinion, first of all, we should create a safe Iraq and change the system of governance from an Islamic system to a secular system. Iraq also will need to learn how to build a strong international and diplomatic relations with other countries, especially with developed countries and the West. Later, step by step, Iraq will be a safe place. This is the first steps to create a better and safe future for not only young people in Iraq, but also for all Iraqis. In my opinion, Iraq needs a leader like Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, if you know him, in Turkey. The country must be led by a secular leader, then Iraq will be fine. Iraq will be safe if we put a secular leader like Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. And by educating people and establishing a good secular government, we will create a better future and supportive environment for young people in Iraq and for all Iraqi people.
Thanks for shedding light. I did not know about this leader by my lack of knowledge, but thanks for shedding light and actually, drawing parallels. This is exactly what I wanted from you too, to understand your perspectives, comparing Iraq to another comparable country and what you see as a paradigm in another country. So thanks a lot for actually bringing out that perspective. So how do you think the youth in Iraq can play a role in shaping the country's future? As a young person, I'm really curious to know what is your take on that.
Iraqi youth have more open minds than the old people in Iraq. Iraqi youth have a vision and they are looking for a brighter future. Not all youth in Iraq were able to leave the country like other Iraqis did. And if you cannot get out of the hell, you should work hard to transfer the hell into a heaven. I know it's hard, not even hard, it's very hard. But at the same time, it's not impossible. If Iraq put the correct leaders in leadership positions, the change for better will be possible. But what is going on in Iraq currently is the change to worse because of the bad leaders in the country. Iraq put old leaders with their old mind structure that leading the country to the abyss. For example, one of the Iraqi leaders in the government wanted to cancel Telegram obligation in the country, and another leader wanted to cancel the whole social media because their minds believe that social media has a bad impact on society. Iraqi people were so upset of this situation because most Iraqis depend on social media, work opportunity from social media and Telegram groups, scholarships and other opportunities from social media. So they were very upset. Another example that is happening currently in Iraq. Our leaders want to make amendments to the personal status law. They want to make the age of marriage according to the Islamic laws, which is 9 years old. And in Shia Islamic laws, the father can give his daughter to an old man even if her age is 1 day. Just can you imagine? All the men in the parliament agreed to this decision. No woman in the parliament has voted on it. But since the number of voters is the majority, the opinion of the minorities doesn't matter. The problem is that the majority is not right, and its decision harm the Iraqi people. Children will be sold and trafficked under this law. The new amendments also prevent women of their right to financial inheritance from her parents or from the husbands. And also, it prevents her from child custody. There are too many exasperation and anger among Iraqi people because of this new law, and the majority of people doesn't want this law. In Iraq, there are also religious minorities, such as Christian, Mandaeans, and Yazidis, and others. There are also atheists of Islamic origin who do not believe in Islam at all. The government will make this decision or this new law apply to everyone in Iraq. Even Muslim Iraqis do not want this law. People who have young girls are very angry about this law. In my opinion, if Iraq put an open-minded leaders in the government instead of those old Islamic-minded leaders, Iraq will live in peace. The new Iraqi generation can lead the country for better, rather than the old people. I believe that Iraqi youth, with their open minds, can play an important role in shaping the country's future for better.
Thanks a lot for sharing that, Tiba. And it is shocking, and it's something that sitting at this side of the world, it's unimaginable the kind of strain that a young person goes through. And even when you can't even turn to the law in order to safeguard your interest as a woman, and that is something that's beyond imagination. And it takes immense amount of courage and candor to actually be this open and candid and share exactly what's going on in your country and what's going on in your reality. And listeners, we have to give it to Tiba for being such a source of courage for all of us to be as authentic and as open and as vocal as it can get. And I'm pretty sure everybody who's listening to her right now, you're all getting goosebumps just like me. And you will probably share it with me when I say that I'm so proud of you, Tiba, that you've come out and you've voiced out everything, and you've actually given us a glimpse into this world that you are living in Iraq. I cannot stop thanking you, but thank you so much for coming in. And as we wind up, I have one last question for you. What message would you like to share with other young people around the world about life in Iraq?
I would like to share with them that not all people in Iraq are bad. There are also good people living in Iraq and want to live in peace and be happy. I would also like to tell them that Iraqi people are tired and Iraq still needs help from developed countries. Iraq still needs reforms in various aspects. I would also like to share that Iraqi youth need support. We have a lot of graduates from various fields of study, and they are unemployment. Iraqi youth needs opportunities like jobs opportunities, scholarships abroad, and internships programs. Iraqi youth would like to live a normal and healthy life like their peers in developed countries. a message of peace from the Iraqi people to the all people of the world. Thanks very much to Kiktel program, and thank you very much, Shwati.
Thanks a lot, Tiba. And as I said, all the things that you have mentioned today, so profound and so insightful, and more than all of it, such powerful statement. And we need youth like you, Tiba, to lead the country into a better and positive future. And how would that be, right? Tiba, if you are leading the country, it's not something that is impossible. That is something that is quite possible. And we hope that things change and scenarios change, and you and young people just like you are the vehicles for change. And there is so much power and potential in you and people like you, young people like you, and women in Iraq. And I'm praying and hoping that tomorrow or in a few years, when we look at Iraq, when we talk about Iraq, we talk about the youth power in Iraq. We talk about people like Tiba, who has, created the new future for Iraq. And I'm very hopeful that we talk about such a future for Iraq. So thank you so much, Tiba, for sharing such powerful insights about life of a youth in Iraq. And we really appreciate how you've come out and become the voice of Iraq for the Kektel community. And thank you so much, listeners, especially you listeners, for being such a lovely community. Because of your energy, because of how you are interested to know more and more about the lives and realities of young people around the world. This is the source of energy that the Kektel team derives from. We seek out such stories, and I think this is the same energy that gives to the speakers who brings out their voice and their realities with so much candidness, so much candor, and courage. And this community of listeners who are always tuning into the podcast of Kektel, they are the reason why we are all coming out and talking about real harsh realities from around the world. So keep your curiosity and energy alive. We come back to you in 2 weeks with yet another powerful youth voice from around the world. So thank you so much, Tiba. Thanks again. And thank you, everyone.